ended up going to a club and meeting Chris Sales and taking a picture with Chris Sales. We are dealing with a Chris Sales, okay? That's the kind of guy we're dealing with. So, hey guys. So, don't hate me, okay? I have been trying to record this freaking hair care routine. I know it has been actually so highly requested. People keep DMing me about it. I know, okay? I have recorded several videos because I have this idea of what I want the video to be, and I didn't realize how much like complicated my idea was. So it's in the middle, like I have certain parts, like it's literally like a 10-part thing that I'm trying to get to be cohesive in one video. So the part that I'm at, like I've been having to refilm like over and over and over again because it's too much right now. Just know it's coming, and when it comes out, it's gonna be fire. It's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be amazing. Okay, I will not put it out unless it is nothing less than that for the amount of struggle that it's taking me to freaking do this video. So sorry, you're gonna have to settle for a story time. And I know some people are like, who cares about your hair care routine? I don't even come here for that. I come here for the stories. So for those people, hello, what's good? We're gonna get into a deep dive into this story. So I asked you guys on my Instagram kind of like what story or what videos y'all want to see other than a client story time, which I have client story times, and girl, now that I'm having more clients, I have more stories just on Lord. But I asked you guys what you guys wanted to see other than that, and I got a lot of like really good recommendations. Like y'all's ideas are really out there. One recommendation that I got was to talk about what was the final situation that made me break up with Armando, because I made a video. If you haven't watched it, well, I made several videos, girl. I made several videos about me and Armando and our crazy toxic relationship and like the things that happened during and after the relationship, but I never really touched on what ended it and what was really just my breaking point with that relationship. So as you guys know, I kind of said it in one of my videos. I can't remember. I think it was my toxic one, or I don't know. Where I said I was gonna stop talking about Armando just because he's just not it. He's just not my life. He's just nothing to me, and that like I really hate this person. And I wasn't gonna make any more videos on it. So I was holding true to that until I actually got this request, and I was like, I really didn't talk about it. I really haven't said what happened. So this is the final chapter. This is the last straw. This was the, I don't know what the saying that broke the camel's back. This is that, and we're gonna get into it. And I'm also gonna reiterate why toxic relationships are just not it. It's not the move, it's not the vibe, and we're gonna get into all that. So boom, let's take it way back when. If you've already watched most of my story times, which a lot of you guys are always telling me that you guys have been watched all my videos and you guys seen all my videos, so you pretty much know what happened, like how awful Armando was and just the toxicity of that relationship. So I'm gonna go straight into what was the end. So me and Armando had been with each other on and off, turmoil, craziness, for 3 years. I started dating Armando when I was 16, and this was when I was 19. Yeah, I broke up with him when I was 19. So it had gotten to a point, Armando had cheated on me with so many people, and it's crazy because after the fact, like a lot of time later, after I people knew that we had broken up, there was I had found out so much information and just so many things that people were telling me about like who he cheated on me with, and this, that, all the people that I had no even idea about, like, I found out that he had cheated on me with. So he had cheated on me for so long. So we dealt with that. We dealt with him going to college. We dealt with him getting into a fraternity. I dealt with all that craziness. It was just too much. Well, at this point in our relationship, I had already, like, we had broken up. I had talked to other dudes and we got back together, dropped those dudes, you know, that whole thing, the breakup, makeup, kind of talking to people, kind of not thing. It had gotten to the point in a relationship where I was just mentally checked out. There was no relationship. I was already out of it. And everybody knows that when girls get to a point where they're just done. They're emotionally, physically, they're just drained, they're exhausted, they're done, they're checked out, you know? That's where I was in this relationship at this point. I was over it. I didn't want anything to do with him. It really, honestly, and truly got to the point where he just bothered me. Like, everything about him bothered me. I wasn't attracted to him anymore. Everything he did was just lame. It was like I didn't want to hang out with him. I was just over it, right? That's kind of where I got in the relationship. But some way, somehow, I was still stupid. And I was just like, oh, like, we have a future together. We have history. Stupid. So basically, it had came down to Christmas. It was December and it was, you know, around the holidays. So it was like family time. I was spending a lot of time with his family, spending a lot of time at his house, doing all that. He was coming to my house, spending time with my family, which he really didn't. He just stopped by, said hello, and that was it. That was the extent of him. Like, and I'm a very family oriented person. So it was just like he made no effort to try to like be a part of my family, like respect my family. Like, he just didn't care, like, right? So it was around Christmas time, and that's just kind of where we were just kind of like spending time with each other's family, but it was just very forced and just not the vibes, okay? So at this point of our relationship, Armando had developed a extreme drug problem, and everybody has their struggles, everybody has their thing, I guess. But the thing with Armando was he is a follower. Like, it's just point blank period. He was not being himself, and he was being heavily influenced by the people that were around him at that time. When me and Armando were in high school, he didn't like girls that drank, even though he would cheat on me with girls that drank, the girls that partied, the girl, you know what, that's the whole issue. But he didn't like girls that drank, he didn't like girls that smoked, he didn't like none of that stuff. And obviously, like, that's what we were surrounded by, a bunch of people that smoked, a bunch of people that drank, all that. So he was just very responsible, very head on his shoulders, very much determined to, you know, be a doctor or whatever. Like, that's what he was on. Soon as he went to college, I don't know, that you would think it was the opposite, but that all went out the window, and he developed a very strong drug problem. It started with weed, okay? So he started smoking a lot of weed, and he was not that kind of person. Like, I cannot reiterate that enough. He was not that person. So he went from like never smoking weed to smoking it every single day, multiple times a day. Like, he really turned into a drug addict. Like, and I don't have any issues with weed. But it just got to a point, like, you're fiending. And people are like, oh, you can't get addicted to weed. You can get addicted to anything. When it starts consuming your life and you can't do anything, you can't wake up, you can't go to sleep, you can't go to work without thinking about this thing, like, you have a problem. Especially when you can't afford your problem, you have a really big problem. So he started developing that. And like I said, it kind of just went little by little. It was just like, oh, okay, like, you smoke with your friends now? That's crazy. Okay, you start, like, since when? But all right, like, okay. And then it started going to every time me and him would hang out. It would be before we went to the movies, after we went to the movies, before we would go get food, after we would go get food. It got so bad to the point, like, he was literally telling his parents, like, he needed gas money, so they would give him, like, 10, 20 bucks, and he was spending on that. That's why I'm saying, like, you're a drug addict. Like, whether your mom wants to accept it or not, you are. But it just really turned into that. And so this was around Christmas time. He had asked me, this was me being stupid, and this was me trying to, like, keep the relationship together, I guess. I'm telling you, I don't know what in the world I was thinking. Like, I would never do this now. But he basically asked me to get him a zip. I'm just going to be very transparent in this video because honestly, I really don't care. Like, this happened like 3 years ago. Or no, this happened way more than that. Wait, no, 3? Who cares? This happened a long time ago, so I mean, whatever. But he asked me to give him, like, to buy him a zip. If you don't know what that is, Google it. So I, like a dummy, I bought it for him. I didn't buy it for him, I just gave him the money for it. And so basically it was his, but like I bought it. You know what I mean? We'll get to that. So he had told me that he wanted to go kind of like on a trip. It was like a day trip with me and him. He wanted to plan something with me and him so we could have fun and we could work on our relationship and blah, 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 blah. He told me that that's what he wanted to do. So I get a message from one of his close friends saying, oh, are you and Armando going to Texas? And I was just like, no. I'm sitting here in my head thinking that me and him, we are on good terms. He was planning this day trip with me. So like, I'm thinking like, oh, maybe they're confused. Like maybe they think that that's, so I was like, no, I think like me and him were planning a trip, but we're not, like, I'm not going to Texas. And they were like, oh yeah, he's talking about how he's going to Texas on the 27th. So mind you, Armando's Twitter was public. So I looked up, like, I went on his Twitter because he had blocked me on Twitter. He had blocked me on Instagram. He blocked me from everything. So I had went on his Twitter and I had seen his tweets talking about, oh, can't wait to go. I'm out of here on the 27th or something. Like, it was a lot of tweets alluding to the fact that he was going to Texas. So I was just like, who's going to Texas? And why are you going to Texas? I'm so confused. Like, so this was on Christmas Day, by the way. This was all on Christmas Day, and my family has a kind of like tradition to go to the movies on Christmas Day. So me and him had plans on going with my family to the movies on Christmas. So this was before I was going to his house. We were going to go together to meet my family at the movies. So I had gotten that before I got to his house. So when I got to his house, I confronted him and I was like, what is this about you going to Texas? Like, why are you going to Texas? What is in Texas? Mind you, he has no family over there. He has no friends over there. I don't understand where this fixation on Texas was. I don't know. So he basically was like, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? And I was just like, what do you mean you don't know what I'm talking about? So I put up his Twitter and he basically got mad at me saying like, oh, you're stalking me. You're this, you're that. You don't trust me. Why are you on my Twitter? Blah, 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 blah. So I'm just like, what the heck? Like, how are you mad at me? Because I just found out that you were going, like, you said it. This is your profile, is it not? Very gaslighting, very manipulative, all that. But at the time, like, I didn't want to look bad for my family. And I didn't want them to look at him a certain type of way, even though nobody in my family liked him. So I went, like, I just kind of, like, sucked it up so he would still go to the movies with me. Stupid. So I sucked it up so he would still go to the movies with me. We ended up going to the movies. And after the movies, I confronted him again about it. I was like, so what's the deal with this? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to Texas. I'm not going to Texas. I don't know what you're saying. Like, leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. So we kind of dropped it, kind of, but there was still static. But me and him, we went so many times arguing that I don't even think either of us took arguments with us serious. So then the next day happened. So obviously he said he's going to Texas the 27th. It's the 25th. So the next day comes And I go over to his house, and he has his friend at his house. And I go into his house, and I see him and his friends. His friend was gonna stay the night at his house, because after like the 26th, so that the 27th they would go to Texas. They were driving, right? So I go to his house, I see his friend. I was like, why is he here? And he was basically telling me, he's like, oh, he just wants to spend the night. He just wants to spend the night, which I'm like, what? Like, this dude had his own apartment. Like, why did somebody else want to what? So I go into his room, and I see that his stuff was being packed. And I was like, so you are going to Texas? Like, you're lying. You are going. And he was like, oh, like, it was just last minute. It's this guy that I know. We're all just going to go. It's just going to be a quick trip. He wants to see his family, and we're just going to go and come back. Trying to make it say, who drives all the way from Tennessee to Texas to just drop something off and then come back? Like, it was the stupidest excuse ever. And I had seen that he had that zip of weed on his bed. And I was like, oh, so you thought that you were gonna go take this that I bought? You're gonna leave me here. You're gonna lie about a trip. You're going to leave me here. And you're gonna think that you're going to take something that I bought for you and your friends? Psych. So I go to grab the bag. This man gets superpowers, jumps over everything that was in his room to grab the bag out of my hand. And he just starts yelling. He was like, no, you're not gonna take this from me. I don't care. Like, this is ridiculous. And I'm just like, mind you, he had like anger issues, bad anger issues, but like not to the extent of like this. Like, I was just like, you're really yelling at me over weed? Like, this is what we're doing right now? You're really gonna sit here and do this over some weed? Really? So he's like yelling at me, telling me that I'm not taking the bag, and if I take the bag, it'll be the last time I ever did this, and blah, blah, blah. Like, just a craziness. And I just look back, I was like, yo, he's really gonna sit here and do this over like weed? Like, this is insane. Like, this, you have a problem. Like, now I'm realizing, like, this is not even funny anymore. This is not like, oh, stoner. Like, no, you actually have a problem that you're gonna get this mad at me over taking a bag. Like, and mind you, I didn't even want it. It was just a simple fact that it was just like, you're not, like, no, I'm not about to pay for this, and you're gonna take this for you and your friends after you done lied to me and then said that you're gonna go to Texas. No, cut the cameras, no. So I took the bag, and then he just, went crazy on me. So I was just like, all right, if you're gonna fiend for it, that bag, you can have it. Like, whatever. If that's what you're gonna do, if that's the type of time you're on, then keep it. So I went to leave, and then he did the whole, I'm so sorry. That's like, like, I'm just really stressed out. I just really want this relationship to work, and I don't want you to walk away from me, blah, blah, blah. Just stupid. So stupid. And so he gives me like half the bag. And at that point, I was just so, like I said, I was so detached from this relationship. I was so over it. I just said, like, I didn't want the weed. That wasn't really the purpose. It was just like the principle of it. And so he just gives me like, he breaks the bag in half and gives me like my half, I guess. I don't even know. But I was just like, what? So he gives it to me. He's like, oh, you could take it. You can have it. Like, and then, like, I just want us to be good. I just want this to work. And I just, like, pretty much left. He was, hugging. When somebody's hugging you and you're just like, and he's like, I love you. And I can't wait to see you when I get back, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, no. So then, fast forward, he goes on his trip to Texas. He goes on his one-stop family friend boy trip, whatever you want to call it, to Texas. So when he gets to Texas, I don't hear from him. He is ghost. He would text me every one or two, he would text me like 1 or 2 times a day saying like, oh, I miss you, oh, I love you. But I never heard from him. Never knew what he had going on. Mind you, just mind you, he was going out every night that he was in Texas. That one little stop shop, he was going out every single night in Texas. And let me just to give you a synopsis of the type of guy Armando is. He ended up going to a club and meeting Chris Sales and taking a picture with Chris Sales. We are dealing with a Chris Sales, okay? That's the kind of guy we're dealing with. So if that tells you anything. And Armando's like idol is Future. So he ends up posting that picture, and I'm just like, mind you, I'm blocked. And now he made his Twitter private. He blocked me off Instagram, but he loved me. He couldn't wait to see me, right? So I'm blocked off everything. I have people sending me this. So I'm just like, great. Now it's going into New Year's. Like, he left, it was that period of time. He left the 27th. So he's in Texas, that one-stop trip. He's in Texas, and it's becoming New Year's at this point. So basically, I'm just chilling at home. And of course, New Year's Day comes. I go to sleep. I wake up to my homegirl giving me her Snapchat password and username, saying, hey, log into my Snapchat and look at what Armando's doing. So I log in, and so I see it. He is just having the time of his life with a girl that used to live in our hometown, but she like moved, I don't know. And basically it's just them together in the backseat of a car and all this, right? Little did he know that I found her, like I followed that girl on Instagram. So I looked at her Instagram and I looked at her Snapchat. Like, I took from her Instagram, I went to her Snapchat. This girl did not, I think he went to Houston, I think. This girl did not live anywhere near Houston. She lived in Texas, but she didn't live in Houston. She had snapped her whole process of her and her friend road tripping to Houston. So I'm like, oh, so y'all planned this. This was a thing. Like, you knew, like, you were going to Houston to see her, and she knew that you were coming to Houston to see her. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. That's great. That's perfect. So I have all these screenshots. I have all these screen recordings. I have everything that I need, my evidence or whatever. I just sent it to him, and I just said, bye. I'm done. This is it. I don't care. I'm over it. Mind you, I had family over from Puerto Rico. They had came to visit us for the new year. And I was just like, this is it. This is it. This is over. I'm done. Not only did you literally try to fight me over a bag of weed, now first you lied about going to Texas, the whole trip. Then you fight me over a bag of weed, and then you go all the way over there to cheat on me. Great. Mind you, to be honest, I just accused him of cheating because he just did it so much. So I accused him of cheating, and to this day, I don't know if they actually did anything, like if he actually like physically cheated, emotionally, physically. Actually, physically he did, because you left me to go see her. Like, what the hell? So you cheated on me, right? So basically, I just did that. Of course, he does the whole blowing up my phone thing, yada, yada, yada. Did that whole back and forth. But I was just done with it. I was over it. It was the smoothest thing ever because I just didn't care. And that's kind of where it spiraled into the whole toxic relationship where he went to jail and all that stuff, where he tried to blame me for going to jail and his mom tried to blame me for going to jail. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much I need to learn that phrase. What is the thing that broke the camel's back? That was the nail in the coffin. That was it. He decided to really, it wasn't really the trip to Texas. I think I really knew I was done because I don't have the mental maturity to deal with somebody who is an addict. And like on no type of funny, like he is. He fell into that. He's one of those people that just can't handle it. Some people can handle being productive members of society when smoking weed, and they can, you know, do that. He's not one of them. And even then, he was like abusing pills and stuff. He was just taking pills and mixing them and doing all that. And I don't have that. I'm just not there. Like, I can't do that. I'm not that kind of person. There are certain people in this world that can handle it, and there are certain people that can't, and I just couldn't handle it. So I knew when he was just being like that it was time for me to like peace out. And just everything that happened on top of that, I think the Texas trip was like really just my out. If I'm being honest, like, because like I said, I didn't know if he cheated on me or not. Like, I could say he cheated on me because he went to Texas to see some girl, but at the same time, like, I don't know what happened. I can only imagine the things that happened, but I don't know for sure. I never asked the girl. I never confronted the girl. I still follow the girl. She's still cool to me. I don't have any issues with the girl. So, I mean, I don't really care. That was just kind of more like my out. My camera keeps cutting off. But basically, yeah, that was pretty much everything that ended that. I'm sorry, I don't really know where I was going with that last part. But you know, this is just one of those things. I don't really like to talk about it. There's a lot of things that I could talk about, and all the trauma and the PTSD that I got from that relationship that I probably could talk about, but we're not there yet. But just like the final conclusion, and honestly like why I don't really like talking about this stuff anymore, is just because, yeah, like I'm not in that headspace anymore. I'm not in that, like, I will never ever speak to Armando ever in my life, like ever again. I have no reason to speak to him again, so it's kind of like why I don't feel the need to talk about him again. And for me, this is just like old news. So, but I did think that it was fair. If I brought all this stuff up, I should probably finish it off, because I hate when people do that. So one thing that I want y'all to take away from this story, especially if you are a female and males too, because girls can be easily as toxic, is one man's trash is another man's treasure. Okay, I've mentioned this briefly in like some of my, I don't remember which videos, but I know I mentioned this. Like, guys that I've talked to after this never treated me the way Armando did. Like, a lot of the thing, like, I'm cool with the majority of the guys that I've talked to, texted, dated, whatever you want to categorize them as. I've been really cool with that, because at the end of the day, you can acknowledge that maybe you're not that like great of a partner or significant other, and it didn't work out for us, but like you're still not a bad person, you know? Or like maybe you did something that was like not cool, but like I firmly believe that like some guys that I've talked to, they were really good guys, and it just didn't work, you know? It was cool for some things, or they were meant to be there for some things, and I was meant there to be some things, but at the end of the day, the reason why we didn't work is for better things. And to be honest, some of the guys that I've like talked to are in really nice, healthy relationships that I would never have been able to give them, and they would never have been able to give me. So, you know, we are all thriving and we're all doing great. So there's that. Like, I was really at a point where I was just like, guys suck. Like, I hate men. I never will get in a relationship. I never will trust anybody. I will literally be the worst person to them, to any guy that tries to like talk to me or anything. And you just change, just because like there is somebody out there that will treat you exactly how you want to be treated, and then some. So one man's trash is another man's treasure, and never settle. And trust me, the person that you are so in love with in high school, I thought I was gonna marry, dude, and I cannot even imagine what my life would be if I ever did that. Like, Oh my God, when you're young and dumb, even though I'm still so young. But you really do grow from like 18 to 22. I feel like I'm just a completely different person. So yeah, girl, never settle, never change your standards, never do nothing. Like, you be you and someone will absolutely adore you for it. So this was kind of like a serious, deeper, get ready with me, deeper kind of story time. But nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.